Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Butt Fumble Sports Daily Show for this Monday NFL Week 13 show. So excited about what we have in store. Obviously, Bears and Vikings kick it off in just a few hours. We will be taking you through our analysis of that game from a fantasy, betting, DFS standpoint. We'll talk about some of the matchups that we really like, some of the player prop bets that we really like throughout the show. And, of course, we also have the NHL and the NBA in their full swing tonight. Plenty to get into. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Sunday of football. We have a lot to get into, as mentioned before, but get those comments and questions in the chat right now so we can load up on them. Make sure we give you guys good advice for tonight's games, tonight's Monday Night Football matchup, and even start to look a little bit at NFL Week 13. I know a couple of you guys were hitting me up on Instagram about that. We haven't done a full dive on our research yet for Week 13, but we're starting to do the preliminary research, so we will look ahead just a little bit. Hope you guys did tail us on some of our picks yesterday. The picks that we gave out in our newsletter, if you go to our website, buttfumblesports.com, you can sign up for that free newsletter. In that newsletter, we gave out 8 NFL game picks, 7 cashed. Hope you guys tailed yesterday. It was a great day for the public, not just us, but very happy to know that if you tailed on our bets yesterday, you would have definitely been in the green. With that said, no matter the platform you're watching on, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, or Kick, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you're subscribing today. We have an amazing community of sports fans that come together every single day to talk sports, sports betting, obviously rant about what's going on in the sports world. But we're also here to help you guys out with research, data, analytics as much as we possibly can. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can always DM us on Instagram. You can go to our website, email us, feedback@buttfumblesports.com. We love hearing from you guys, so no matter where you're watching, no matter if you're a new-time viewer, a new viewer, or an old viewer, a loyal viewer, we want to hear from you to make sure we make the best possible content for every single sports fan out there, because that's why Butt Fumble Sports was created. It was made by a sports fan for you real sports fans at home, so make sure that you guys follow, subscribe, and always engage because we love hearing from you guys no matter where you guys watch. With that said, our show is always brought to you by the SHARPZ app, a social media app that allows you to see and tail all of my bets, a great community that comes together to share their sports bets. Make sure you DM me on Instagram if you want all of my bets for this evening. With that said, let's dive into your fantasy questions, your sports betting questions, and let's see what you guys have on set. Eric, Dobbs or Fields tonight? Tricky, tricky, tricky. I'm going to lean just slightly, I think, in terms of overall fantasy points towards Justin Fields. I'm going out on a limb on this one, just barely, but I think Fields, between his rushing opportunities and with his passing, Vikings aren't a good pass defense, and Fields could still attack in the running game. I'm going to lean towards Fields, slightly a better game than Dobbs in terms of fantasy points. Is Brandon Staley the problem for the Chargers? Jorge, absolutely. Absolutely. Brandon Staley is the problem. If Sean Payton had been the head coach of that team would be on a 4-5 game winning streak in the same way the Denver Broncos are now. Brandon Staley has been, is, and will remain the problem until he's fired on Black Monday. Jones Nation, do you think I get Zay for Hollywood Brown? You want Zay Flowers for Hollywood Brown? Probably not. I would have liked that maybe a week ago. Might have been a little bit closer in value, but I think you need to put Hollywood Brown with somebody else to be able to upgrade to Zay Flowers. Thanks for the question. Kiernan, do you like DJ Moore this week? Absolutely. I was talking to you guys yesterday about some of my favorite receivers of NFL Week 12, and DJ Moore was in the top 5 of that list. I think DJ Moore has a fantastic game. Now, if you go through his player prop, you go through his stats over the season, he has performed best when Justin Fields is on the field. When that's been the case, that he has gone over 100 yards, he's scored touchdowns. DJ Moore is an absolute star tonight. Expect big points from him. Gilly Beans, ETN and Moore for A.J. Brown. I wouldn't do the trade. I actually think you're giving up a little bit too much value. A.J. Brown might have peaked. I think A.J. Brown still may have some good weeks ahead, but do I think A.J. Brown's value is now greater than the production you should expect? Yes, and I think DJ Moore and ETN might have some greater upside. Mason, trade Pollard for Eckler. I'd be okay with it, Mason, Pollard is coming on stronger, but how he's being used in the offense, and frankly, how that offense operates overall, I think I'd rather have Eckler. Danny Chen on receptions or yards or both for DJ Moore. Receptions felt high, but it could still cash because like a Keenan Allen, like a CeeDee Lamb, you just expect DJ Moore is going to get a ton of targets, and thus receptions might be an okay play, Danny. But I like yards more. I will put that one up on the board. By the way, guys, every time we hit 2,000 likes tonight, we're going to give out a pick across the NBA, NHL, and NFL. Of course, if we ever hit our live goal, I made it an ambitious one, but if we ever hit it, I'm going to give out a ton of picks. That said, let's put out this first pick of the evening. I got DJ Moore earlier in the week, over 59.5 receiving yards. I know that has since moved up to over like 60.5. I like it still the same, so I'm going to put it here just to make sure you guys are seeing it correctly. Whatever DJ Moore is, 59.5, 60.5, 61.5. I'm taking the over. I think DJ Moore will get to at least 75 yards. Personally, I think it could be even greater than that. But DJ Moore over on receiving yards, that's the first bet that I'm giving out. Shonk 13, trade Tyreek Hill for Laporta, Bijan, and Mike Evans. Man, I love the haul that you're getting back. I'll say yes, but frankly, Tyreek Hill's value is so consistent. It is a good haul back, but Shonk 13, I'm not as crazy about it as I probably should be, given that it's a 3-for-1. Billy Mays here. Billy Mays, her 3. Better going forward, Ayuk or Ridley? I think it's Ayuk. Ridley's been far too inconsistent, and Kirk, frankly, is just getting way too many targets week to week for Ridley to be the more favored play. Ayuk, as long as Deebo Samuel is healthy, Brandon Ayuk performs better when Deebo's there. I'd rather have Ayuk rest of season. Jets info, CeeDee Lamb or Amon-Ra St. Brown in a dynasty? Great question. I'm going to lean just slightly towards Amon-Ra St. Brown, and here's the reason why. I think this might be the best, if not, one of, if not the best season of CeeDee Lamb's career this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he could have a better next year than this year, given that he had a couple of injuries. What should I try and trade A.J. Brown for? Derg, I'd hold on to A.J. Brown. I don't want to move too quick. A number of you guys want to move on from A.J. Brown or Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't make those kind of decisions. I love the value A.J. Brown has, but the trade that someone mentioned earlier, the value that they were getting or giving up rather, didn't match the value A.J. Brown has moving forward. But I'd still hold on to A.J. Brown. Let's not be too quick to move on from him. Clark, what do you think about DeAndre Swift production with the tough matchup ahead? You're asking about NFL Week 13. We've done a little bit of research on that, but I don't want to, I want to put out little asterisks next to what I say. We haven't gone really deep into the stats just yet. What I will say is 49ers run defense is obviously strong. I still tend to like Swift actually over some other matchups across the league, so I'm not going to completely throw him out. But that said, it is going to be a more pass-heavy day, I think, for the Eagles. Swift could be useful, could maybe get 60, 65 yards. But again, the lack of touchdowns always hurts. Jorge, sell high on Devontae Smith. I actually wouldn't sell Devontae Smith right now. I've noticed a bit of a trend with the Eagles. Smith got off to the hot start, then A.J. Brown absolutely torched everybody, and now the pendulum's swinging back and Devontae Smith's value is going back up. It's about how opposing defenses tend to defend against them. I think Devontae Smith still has a lot of value. Carter 22, pick up Mark Andrews. Do you think he comes back? No. Carter 22, Mark Andrews, the only way he comes back actually is in like an AFC or a Super AFC championship or a Super Bowl. Mark Andrews has no value in fantasy. No value in fantasy. Mahomes, Broncos, Niners, Super Bowl. Mahomes, whatever you're smoking, I could only probably have half of it because that's a little bit too much Broncos love for me. Do I think the Broncos can go on the road into hostile territory multiple times and win? No, I don't think they can. I don't think they could go to Baltimore and Kansas City and win. I think they could go do it once on the road. I don't think they could do it twice. I think Denver's a great story. I don't think they're Super Bowl bound. Should I look to sell Mostert and Henry? I have Connor, Stevenson, and Ford. No, I'd hold on. First of all, I'd hold on to Mostert. Mostert's value is phenomenal. It has been. It will remain. I think Mostert is one of the most consistent touchdown bets you could have. I wouldn't move on from Mostert. If you want to move on from Derrick Henry, I like that you're selling on him high, but he's got a great matchup against the Colts this upcoming week. Why would I be so quick to move on from Derrick Henry right as he's starting to produce? I don't know if I'd move on from either one right now. Typical Viet Boy, trade CD for Kyren Williams and Brandon Cooks. No, I wouldn't do it. Brandon Cooks doesn't have enough value. Kyren Williams doesn't have enough value. I'd hold on to CD Lamb. User 988, Jahmyr Gibbs for Kelsey. That's a trade I would do. I really like Gibbs, but Kelsey right now, down the stretch of the season, I absolutely want Kelsey in my roster right now. User 9880, that's a great trade. I would trade Gibbs for Kelsey. Trenton Jester, is Rashee Rice now a lock at the flex? I'll never say someone's a lock because it's always about week-to-week matchups. I never want to give someone the impression that either in a bet or in a fantasy matchup there's such thing as a lock. That's when the sports gods find you and turn things the other way. What I will say is Rashee Rice is absolutely the number one wide receiver of the Kansas City Chiefs. Not the number one, he's the number one wide receiver, not the number one pass catcher. We know that's Kelsey, but Rashee Rice's value has been solidified throughout the season. Now, next week is not a great matchup against the Packers. Packers are actually a pretty good pass defense. Jair Alexander was out last week. We probably should expect him back this week, given the long time off. I lean slightly away from Rashee Rice as of right now. Again, I need to dive into the research and stats over the coming days, but at first blush, I'm not as big on Rashee Rice right now as I was this past weekend, for example. I still think there's reason to think there are other players who might be worth it. Worth a start, that is. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure you guys are hitting that follow button no matter where you're watching, no matter the platform. Make sure you hit the follow button and make sure you are a butt fumbler, one who follows us. Now, hopefully not too close or you might run headfirst into our rear end. It's J3T. How's it going, boss? Tuning in. How did your bets go for Sunday? Well, we did pretty well. If you sign up for our free newsletter on our website, buttfumblesports.com, that newsletter is in your inbox every Sunday at 6 a.m. Of the 8 NFL game picks we gave out yesterday, 7 of them cashed. Now, I will admit, it was a big day for the public, so I'm sure there were plenty of people on social media who had a very big day. One of the reasons I don't go out and brag on social media about all the tickets we cash is because I think there are plenty of people who do that kind of self-promotion. If you guys follow, if you watch, you know how consistent we are with putting out good bets and good fantasy advice. I'll let you guys be the promotion for us rather than the self-promotion. That said, our bets did really well yesterday. Looking forward to tonight's action as well. I am a little bit worried about this game in terms of a cover stand. We just hit 2,000 likes, which means I am going to give out a pick tonight. And I'm going in a slightly different direction than maybe some of you guys are. I'm going to take the Bears at plus 6.5. That's Bears plus 6.5. Now, the line right now for this game is set at 3. I bought it at obviously a couple points up. Bears plus 6.5 right now is going just under the 200 mark. You guys know I won't give out bets that are usually beyond 200. That said, I really like this bet at the 6.5 mark. Now, would I even take it closer? Yeah, I would. I could see it being 5.5. I'm even comfortable taking it at the 4.5. Getting it closer than 4.5, that's a little tight for me. I think the Bears the Bears cover tonight. I could see the Vikings winning. Earlier bets I had in the week, I had the Vikings winning. However, if I were giving out a recommendation for tonight, which is what I'm doing, the public is really heavy loaded on the Vikings, and this Bears run defense is really good. The Bears now have a much better offense with Justin Fields back and that connection with DJ Moore. Feels like a better game for the Bears overall than some people would have thought maybe even a week or two ago. I think this one's closer. Do I think the Vikings still probably win? Yes. But if I had to give out a pick right now, I'm going to lean towards the Bears. I will put out Vikings on the money line. It's what I have in my bets on Sharps. So there's another pick for you guys. Again, we'll give out more player prop bets and game picks from across the sports world when we hit 4,000 likes. But a couple of picks for you guys for tonight, just to let you guys know where I come down on this Monday Night Football game. Cody Meyerson, good thing I didn't go Bijan Kittle for Ferguson Saquon like you said. Glad you listened, Cody. Carter 22, would you trade? Would you take Kyler for Devontae or Nico Collins? I'd trade Kyler Murray, especially if you have Jalen Hurts, yes. I think I'd rather have Nico Collins, given that you already are loaded on the Eagles offense. I kind of like the roster diversity. Josh, also, can you rank in rest of season value, Moore, Pop, or Kirk? Okay, Josh, I'm going to say Kirk is probably still number one. I love DJ Moore with Fields, but as much as I love that, Kirk is the Keenan Allen of that Jaguars offense. He gets targeted a lot, gets a lot of consistent value. So, Josh, I'll lean towards Kirk 1, DJ Moore 2, and Pop Douglas had his moment. That moment is gone. Yes or no, I get Justin Jefferson. I give up White and Singletary. I'd say no. Because I think Rachaad White's value rest of season remains. Brock Ford sit one this week. We haven't, I know, yeah, you know it's early, Brock Ford. Yeah, first blush, I really am not going to dive into that one because I don't want to give false impressions, especially because it's not A versus B, but you're asking me to evaluate 5 different players. Not going to answer that one right now. Thoughts on Dalton Schultz? Time to move on? Absolutely not. I still think Dalton Schultz has good value. He's going up against the Broncos this week, which isn't a good matchup, but I still think Schultz in that passing offense of the Texans isn't worth dropping unless you really are desperate to pick someone up off the waiver wire. Daniel Pipko had the NBA bets due yesterday, only trailed the NFL ones. So actually, we did really well on our NBA picks as well. We got every NBA pick except one, and it was a crusher. Knicks, Suns. It was 2 bets related to that game. I shouldn't say that. 2 bets related to that game. I had the Knicks on the money line. Devin Booker broke that. And I had the under in that game. Literally every other NBA game pick we made yesterday cashed. So it was a really good day for us in terms of game picks. Player prop bets, little shaky in the NFL. The Myles Garrett injury was really unfortunate. Not as many guys got touchdowns as we thought. But in terms of the player prop bets with passing yards, rushing yards, and receiving yards, those did really well. G. Mitch, hold or sell Josh Jacobs? I'd hold on to Josh Jacobs. If nothing else, Antonio Pierce and how he's calling offenses or how he's allowing his offensive coordinator to call offenses is focused on giving Josh Jacobs the ball. I wouldn't move on from him. Who do you think I could trade Saquon for? I need wide receivers. I certainly think you could get Nico Collins. I think you could probably get a Waddle at this point. I think you could get a DK Metcalf. I don't know if any of those players are worth it to you, but those are some names. COD, Puka, Texans D for Hollywood Brown and Pop Douglas. I think I'd rather have Hollywood Brown and Douglas. I don't know, though. That's a close one. Puka's value is kind of shaky week to week. Sonny, I would I appreciate you saying it. Would you trade away Kyron if you have Gibbs, JT, and Swift? Yes. Here's the thing. I think Kyron is actually worth holding on to, but the 3 running backs you have means you could flip Kyron Williams into a good trade. Now, Kyron Williams, when healthy this year, has absolutely been a fantasy stud, but if you wanted to move on from him because of the other 3 running backs you have, I certainly understand it. The Rams play the Browns this week. That's part of the reason I think it. Phoenix Cards, who wins? Bijan for DJ Moore. I kind of like the DJ Moore side. As long as Justin Fields stays healthy, I like DJ Moore. Eduardo Pacheco, Kelsey for Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley. I don't have a QB. It's not a terrible idea. You're getting enough value back. Personally, I don't like giving up Kelsey. I think there are probably other options at quarterback you could ultimately get with. But it's a fair trade, Eduardo. It's fair. Outlast, how do you feel about Myers and Downs for the rest of the season? Jacoby Myers continues to have value. He gets targeted consistently, so keep your eye on Jacoby Myers as someone to continue to slot in as a flex play. Devontae Adams draws so much attention. Josh Jacobs draws so much attention. Jacoby Myers just gets a ton of targets, and when he gets his hands on the ball, he usually makes the catch. So it's usually a 5 targets, 4 receptions, 5 targets, 5 catches kind of situation. That said, Josh Downs is very week-to-week streaky. He didn't have as good a game yesterday as I expected. Pittman really went off. That said, Downs is really week-to-week with me. I do like the matchup this week against the Titans, but he burned me a little bit, so I am mindful of that. Luis Martinez, trade A.J. Brown and Warren for St. Brown and Pacheco. Yes. Luis Martinez, I actually do like that trade. Would you recommend trading for Eckler, currently starting JT and Aaron Jones? Josh, if you could get Eckler somehow, yes, I would. Josh, I traded Myers and Rondale Moore for DJ Moore. I like it. Probably more because I think Rondale Moore doesn't have a lot of value. So if you're upgrading Jacoby Myers to DJ Moore, that's a huge leap. Josh, I do like that trade. John, having Kenneth Walker III, Brian Robinson Jr., Chandler, and Mitchell, would you pick up Chuba Hubbard with all of them on a bye week next week? Wow, John, all of them on a bye week. Ay caramba, that is a brutal thing. Brian Robinson Jr., he's not on a bye. He's playing next week, isn't he? Yeah, the Commanders play the Dolphins, so Brian Robinson Jr. would be a start for me. I understand Mitchell's out. I understand that Chandler's out, and Kenneth Walker III, he plays the Dallas Cowboys. He might still be out, by the way. We'll see if he's back. But Brian Robinson Jr., I would start. Chuba Hubbard, who's their matchup against? Carolina, the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a really good run defense. Frankly, I don't really like it. Yeah, you are hurting. Start Puka or DeMario Douglas next week. Oh, it's probably going to be Puka. I mean, I haven't gone into the research really heavy just yet. I know it's a Browns defense that's very good against the pass, but I don't know if I could trust the Patriots at all. That passing offense is just abysmal. I saw a stat yesterday that Mac Jones's QBR was worse than if he had just spiked the ball on every snap of the entire game. That's how bad that offense is. Joshua Beck, am I safe? Down 19 with Dobbs tonight. I think Josh Dobbs is going to get you 20 points, actually. I think what's going to bail you out, actually, is his rushing. The Bears are a good run defense, but not as good against quarterbacks as they are against running backs. Dobbs could be able to scramble, pick up some extra yards. Josh Beck, I actually think you're in a decent spot. It'll be close, but I'm banking on passing touchdowns. I'm banking on passing yards and just enough rushing yards from Dobbs to get you to 20. Drew, should I trade Pacheco for Hollywood Brown? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Hollywood Brown isn't enough value back. I understand you're loaded. First of all, I don't know if I'd move on from Pacheco. He is a really good running back, and how the Chiefs use him, I wouldn't move on from him. But if you were to move on from him, make sure you get adequate value back. Hollywood Brown is not. I owe you guys some picks. I'm not doing enough work for you guys. I am slacking over here. I'm just giving out fantasy advice, but I'm not giving out enough sports bets. So let's get to work over here. I have a player prop bet that I'm going to give out for you guys. Appreciate you guys being with us. I mentioned this earlier this week that this is a running back that I do not like this week. If I had to fade him, he would be number one on the fade. And it was Alexander Mattison. Alexander Mattison, I'm taking the under 42.5 rushing yards, guys. If you're looking on my screen on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, you see the Outlier app. We're able to study the trends, data, and analytics using this Outlier app. The Bears are the best run defense in the NFL. Against running backs, they're the 5th best run defense in the NFL. This line moved down to 40.5 and then came up. Thank God it did. I like getting it at 42.5. I like this play a lot. Alexander Mattison, under 42.5 rushing yards. If you could get that higher and buy the under, obviously I'd do it. But under 42.5, really like that one. Ranger, do I keep Hurts, Swift, and Brown in the lineup against the 49ers? No. Great question, Ranger, but this is a week in which I would diversify. This is actually a perfect example of why I'm not a big believer in stacking in season-long leagues. When you get overloaded on one offense, it takes one bad day to wipe you out, especially in the playoffs or in a critical time near the playoffs. So don't be overloaded on the Eagles offense this week. If you want to start Hurts, I love it. If you want to start Hurts and Devontae Smith, I love it. Would I start all three? No, and it would be Swift who's probably the odd man out. Reverse, thoughts on Field today. I need 27 from him. Do I think he could get you 27? Yes. Do I think he will? No, unfortunately. Should I drop Taysom Hill for Freiermuth or Njoku? Unfortunately, I really need to dive into the matchups. I'll say this. I love Freiermuth this upcoming week. Freiermuth has a really good matchup against the Cardinals. Really like that one. As for Njoku, I'm kind of on the fence. I think I'd rather have Taysom Hill than Njoku right now. Maybe not rest of season, though. It's just the quarterback situation in Cleveland's a mess. Who's my MVP for this week in terms of fantasy value? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had a monster second half and absolutely delivered by not just throwing touchdowns and big yardage, but running for it. He was the MVP. I mean, he had a massive game. Big shout out to Pacheco. Great game by him. There were some other dogs this week, but we'll catch up on those a little bit later. Chris, Addison has a big game. I do like Addison. How big is it? I think he could get you a touchdown and like 65 yards, so I think that's a pretty good game. Ray, Josh Allen, can't make him the MVP of the week given that he got outplayed by the guy across the way. Start Ferguson or Amari Cooper next week. If I had to lean in one direction, I'm leaning towards Ferguson right now, again, just because I don't know what the quarterback situation is in Cleveland. If it's not DTR, I have a really big problem with it. Diego, I put 1 unit on Madison under 43.5 about 20 minutes ago. Diego, crushing it. Way to go. Nice job, buddy. Fist bump. Let's get to your fantasy questions. When we hit 10,000 likes, we're going to give out an NBA pick, everybody. 10,000 likes, we're going to give out an NBA pick. Ranger! Whoa, skeleton. What was that, man? Super, super cool. Ranger hitting us up. What was that? Skeleton Evolution. Okay, Ranger crushing it, showing us a lot of love. Because of that, we got to give out a pick. If Ranger's going to show us that kind of love, let's give out a pick. And I'm going to the NBA tonight for that pick. And we'll give out our Sharps play of the day at 10,000 likes. 10,000 likes to get our Sharps play of the day. But I'm going to give out a player prop bet for you, Ranger, from the NBA, okay? Player prop bet from the NBA. Anthony Davis over 1.5 blocks. Anthony Davis over 1.5 blocks is actually one that I really like tonight, guys. This is a good trend. It's a good matchup for him when it comes to blocks. Now, I understand Lakers, 76ers, you may be wary about it, thinking, oh, it's Embiid. Quite the contrary. This is a good bet. Anthony Davis over 1.5 blocks. Ranger, thanks so much for showing us some love. Big Ainge, we'll get to the 76ers in just a minute. I like where your head's at, Big Ainge. I'll give you that little note on it, but we'll get to that game in a little bit. John, we just hit 10,000 likes, everybody. We just hit 10,000 likes, which makes it our Sharps play of the daytime. This is our favorite bet of the day, regardless of the sport, regardless of the type of bet. This is our favorite bet of the day, brought to you by the SHARPZ app, a social media app for sports bettors. Think of it like a chat room or Twitter for sports bettors. We can post our picks, share our picks, comment on them. No money involved, just a place where we can all kind of communicate and give each other some ribbing or praise when we get our bets right. That said, my favorite bet of the night, everybody, is 76ers on the money line. I'm taking Philly on the money line. It is my favorite bet of the night, my Sharps play of the day. If you want to see every bet that I make every day, DM me on Instagram. Go to Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram, hit me up. I'll share a link and a referral code so you guys can get every bet that I make, regardless of the sport, regardless of the type of bet. All of my bets are available on there for free. Free, free. I never put them behind a paywall, so make sure you DM me on Instagram to get every bet that I make every single day. Warren Hackler, drop Puka for Rice or Gabe Davis. I drop him for Rice. Excuse me, I got an itchy back. I drop him for Rashee Rice, absolutely. Gabe Davis, no, because he's too hot and cold. John, what are your two best rest of season? Chase, Adams, and DJ Moore. For me, it's Adams and DJ Moore. I just don't trust Jamar Chase. I don't trust the situation there in Cincinnati. The moment Joe Burrow went down, I thought Chase moved to a wide receiver 2 value. I wouldn't do that to Adams. I still think Devontae Adams has wide receiver 1 value depending on the matchup. DJ Moore is the best owned of all three. Sean, Komet is on bye for me next week. What do you think? Fryermuth is a great pickup, Sean. Great pickup. Way to go, buddy. Jason, what is your opinion on my team? Hurts, Pacheco, Hall, Allen, Dell, Kincaid, and Pollard. Love the team. Love the team. Now, there's some tough matchups ahead, but I think you've got a really good team. The reason I say that is obviously the Cowboys are going to run into that Eagles run defense. Hurts is playing the 49ers and the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks. So, Jason, great lineup, but you do have some tough matchups that might lead to some managerial decisions ahead. Kike is Guap, thank you for the parlay of Henry, Warren, and Hill. Kike is Guap, so happy it cashed for you. Zach, I'm up 4. I have the Vikings defense and playing against Komet. Do I win? Ooh, I am nervous about that one, Zach. I don't feel great about it. That is close. That's very, very close. I think you're going to be okay in terms Komet won't get a ton of targets, but I'm worried he could get a touchdown. That's what has me worried. Hannah Wilkes, thanks so much for hitting that follow button. If you guys haven't, make sure you're like Hannah. Hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, become a member of this great community of sports fans that comes together every single day to talk fantasy football, sports betting, and obviously rant about what's going on in the sports world. I will be ranting about the firing of Frank Reich a little bit later in the show, but let's get back to your fantasy questions for now. Zachy boy, I don't think Goddard's back yet, so I'll stay with Jake Ferguson. Robbie, try to trade Joe Mixon. If yes, for who? Really tough. His value is really shaky right now, so I don't know what's a great return from him overall. Like, could you get a Kyron Williams? Probably not, but I don't like his matchup next week against the Jaguars. I would try and move on from him if you could. Can you? I don't know who's a great trade pickup for him right now. That's the problem. User 7631, Ayuk, Cup, and AJ for Tank, Pittman, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Great question. The answer is yes. I think I'd rather have Tank Dell, Pittman, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, giving up, that's AJ Brown, right? That's the part of the trade I don't like doing. I'm okay giving up Cup right now, believe it or not, but Ayuk and AJ Brown, I don't love it. So the answer is, I like your side of the trade, but could you get a fourth player? I know that sounds crazy, but Jets Info, does both CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown remain top 5 rest of season or dynasty wideouts for years to come? So they both will be valued as top 5 wide receivers. So yes, I do think going into next year's dynasty drafts, you're going to see both of them at the top. Yeah, I think they both retain their value next year. Cody Meyerson, try to pick up another defense. I have the Browns. Also, what is happening to A.J. Brown? Should I try to trade him high value? Maybe Amon-Ra St. A lot of you guys are thinking about moving on from A.J. Brown. I wouldn't. I'd hold on to A.J. Brown if you have him. His value is maybe coming down from the zenith point that it was at, but do I think that he is still a wide receiver one? Absolutely. Don't be too quick to move on from him. You will regret it. Now, do I think Devontae Smith's value is going up as A.J. Brown's comes down a little? Yes, but don't be too quick to move on from A.J. Brown. Even with some tough matchups ahead, I still think he has value towards the end of the season, especially come the playoffs. Maybe down this next 2-week stretch, but I still think he's got value. Nuve DK, should I drop OBJ for Gabe Davis? Well, the Bills are on a bye week, so I don't know if you're getting enough value. The answer is no. I think especially with Mark Andrews gone, OBJ's value goes up. That passing game now is all about Zay Flowers, OBJ, and a little bit more of likely than maybe I expected. But I don't think Gabe Davis is a sure bet in the same way OBJ is at this point. HSBU, pick Lance Thomas or Everett at tight end, or Logan Thomas or Everett at tight end next week. Okay. So I love Gerald Everett next week going up against the Patriots, to be honest. I think that Justin Herbert, I think that the Chargers could have a get-right game against the Patriots next week. I'm going to go with Everett. I like that matchup a little bit more. Commanders matchup against the Dolphins doesn't excite me in the same way. I'm going to go with Everett. Everett would be the better play for me, HSBU. John Tosh, what are some tight ends I should consider picking up to replace some of those on a bye week? I just mentioned one, Gerald Everett. Pat Freiermuth is another one that I would consider. If Evan Ingram is available, I mentioned this before, the Bengals are really bad against tight ends. Evan Ingram should have a monster week next week, guys. In fact, I'll put that out there right now. Evan Ingram is one of my favorite tight ends for NFL Week 13. So if you have Evan Ingram, or you could acquire him this week, he still might have value rest of season. But for Week 13, Evan Ingram is a must start, guys. Must start. Chris traded Jamar, Kincaid, and Myers for Jacobs and DJ Moore. Don't hate it, Chris. I actually don't hate it. Yeah, I don't hate it. Alex Hernandez, Cup for Javonte and Wilson. The answer is I would do it. The answer is I would. I don't like it though. I don't like it. I don't want to. Alex Hernandez, that's a tough one. I think Javonte's value probably makes it worth it, but it's close. Thomas Hopkins, thoughts on Cooper Kupp and Eckler? Man, it's interesting. So many of you guys are fading Cooper Kupp. I don't blame you at this point. Cooper Kupp's value, He just hasn't been what we expected after he came back from the IR. So if you want to move on from Cooper Kupp, I get it. Austin Eckler, I hold on to him a little bit more. He's faced some tough running defenses. I'm not going to count that against him. I think he still has production value the rest of season. Fizz 909. Between those two, I don't like either one, but I prefer Herbert over Madison. Don't like either one tonight, but Herbert over Madison. Dylan, pick 3 for the playoffs. Gibbs, Bijan, and I'll say Saquon, I think. It's close, though. Dylan, I really haven't looked at the playoff schedules, though. David Gonzalez, Gibbs for Bijan. No, I'm going to hold on to Gibbs. I think I'm going to hold on to Gibbs. I trust the offense and the offensive line of the Lions more. It's kind of where I come out with it. Daniel Pipko might have missed your answer. Drop Hill, Logan Thomas for Freiermuth. The answer is I drop Logan Thomas. I think I drop Logan Thomas. Yep. Diego, by the way, don't feel bad, Daniel, about giving up Hollywood Brown. Like, that's okay. Diego Gonzalez, should I trade Pollard and DJ Moore for Javonte and A.J. Brown? Diego, if you've looked at their playoff schedules, I'm going to trust you on this one, Diego. I haven't looked ahead. As you can tell, I'm barely looking ahead to Week 13. I really like to focus on short-term windows. I don't like to look too far ahead for you guys. I feel like sometimes that distracts me from looking at the value that's right in front of us. So I haven't looked ahead to Week 14, Week 15. I've been purely looking at Week 12 and Week 13. So, Diego, if you've done the research, I'll take your word on it. Nuve DK, I'd pick up Downs. Nuve DK, I'd pick up Downs. Good matchup against the Titans this week. Alwarzo, I like Purdy this week. I like Purdy's matchup against the Eagles. You saw it yesterday. Eagles give up a lot of passing yards, guys. It has been a narrative that has played itself true throughout the entire season. I'd play Brock Purdy next week. Joe White, do I start Warren or Javonte for next week? I love that you guys are already looking ahead, even with Monday Night Football about to kick off in about 3 hours. That said, between Warren and Javonte, so Denver plays the Texans. Like that matchup. That should be actually a pretty good matchup. But on the other side, Warren against the Cardinals. No, guys, we love Jaylen Warren for a second week in a row. Now, I was a little disappointed. Najee Harris had a better game than Jaylen Warren. But what I'm really going to say is the Steelers' run offense should be really effective next week. They are playing a Cardinals team that gives up a lot of rushing yards. I'll take the Steelers to have a big running game with Warren and even Najee Harris. Najee Harris might actually have a good week for a second week in a row. Donnie Gordon, how about Hawkinson? Okay, Hawkinson's a tricky one tonight. Love his value in terms of receiving yards, I think. Receptions, tricky. I think I like him more on receiving yards than receptions, but I think he gets a touchdown. I think Hawkinson has a big game. Cody Meyerson, what about the Browns defense? Another good waiver wire pickup. Next week, the Browns play the Rams. I like it. I don't love it. And here's the reason why. What's the status of Myles Garrett? He's probably out. Let's see what that defense looks like in a couple of days when the injury news shakes out. C-flats 12. Trade A.J. Brown and Achane for Keenan Allen. No, I wouldn't do that. No. Kevin, what running back could I get for Montgomery and Ridley or Nico? Why would you want to move on from Montgomery? Like, Montgomery has solidified himself as an RB1. I wouldn't move on from him. Brock Ford, sit one this upcoming week. Brock Ford, I mentioned this earlier. I'm not going to answer that one because I haven't done enough research yet. You're asking about 5 players. The ones I'm going to answer for next week are going to be like an A or B, an apple or orange kind of question. But answering for 5 people, I really need to study the research and the data because rating or picking 2 of the 5, I feel like I give you bad advice because I haven't done enough research. H Hockey, Jefferson and Mixon for Debo and Kyron Williams. H Hockey, I'd rather have Debo and Kyron Williams. Guys, we've hit 15,000 likes. I owe you guys more picks. Let's drop some NBA bets on you guys. Let's give out some NBA player some NBA game picks. Let's drop 2 NBA game picks on you guys. The first NBA game pick I'm going to go with, I'm taking Pacers on the money line, guys. Pacers on the money line. Comfortable play for me tonight. Additionally, I am going to take the Wizards plus 6.5. Wizards plus 6.5 is actually a really good play tonight for me. Now, the Wizards are an underdog against the Pistons. The trends actually suggest the Wizards are a good money line bet. I'm not putting that up on my big board. That's maybe a little bit too risky to recommend to you guys, but I am going to tell you, the trends not only suggest the Wizards are a good underdog play, they're also a good money line play tonight. Just something you might want to consider. So 2 picks that we just dropped for you guys. Pacers money line, Wizards plus 6.5. When we hit, let's say 20,000 likes, we'll drop 2 more picks for you guys. Frosty 1464, trade or keep JJ. I'd be okay trading him because you're still waiting another week for him to come back with the bye week next week. So if you could trade JJ for someone who will play next week, I think it's worth it. Up 22, going up against Hawkinson. Wingman, I think you're going to be okay. Vaping Lobster, I'm dropping Austin Eckler. Man, I hope I play in a league against you so I can pick him up. I think you're going to drop him and he's going to have a massive week against the Patriots. That's my expectation. Ray, start 2 for next week. I'd start. Let's look ahead a little bit to next week. The Chiefs play the Packers. I mentioned that's not a great matchup for me. However, Rams play the Browns, even worse. I'll go Rice over Cup, and then I'm going to go. Man. Between Cup and Watson, I really don't like either one. I might lean just slightly towards. I gotta look into those numbers a little bit more. I lean right now towards Cup, but Ray, I'm gonna have to dive into those stats in the next couple of days. HSBU, thoughts on Puka and Cup next week? Yeah, that's gonna be a really tough matchup for them. I want to see if Denzel Ward is back. Denzel Ward was out yesterday, so let's see if Ward's back. That will make it even tougher on Cooper Cup. That said, don't love the matchup. Chris B, how do you feel? How do you like Rangers over 6.5 and the money line? Okay, looking at the NHL tonight, I love Rangers on the money line. That's one that I really like. Let's get that one up on my big board. That's a bet that I do like tonight. Rangers on the money line. As for the over-under in that game, wasn't one that I was necessarily going to bet. That's a bit of a tricky one for me. I was kind of on the fence, the 6.5. I tend to lean towards the over, but I'd want to buy it. I'd want to buy it down, maybe take it at the 6 and get the hook in my favor. And if it lands at 6, I'm a push then. But Chris, I'm not betting the over/under on that Sabres-Rangers game. I like the money line a lot more. Ranger, thanks so much for the flying jets. Thanks so much. Isn't that a cool one? Oh, that's awesome, Ranger. Really appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying the show. Everybody, we just got to give out a ton of picks now. I'm going to give out, let's give out 4 picks, everybody. Let's give out 4 picks to say thank you to Ranger for hooking us up with that live goal. First one, I'm going to take the Bruins on the money line, guys. Bruins on the money line. That's the first of 4 picks that we're giving out to say thank you to Ranger. Next one that I'm going to give out is going to be Bruins and Blue Jackets under 6.5. I also took this at under 7. The under 7, obviously, the safer play with that hook in my favor. But I also took it at the under 6.5, folded that into some parlays as well. Bruins, money line, Bruins, Blue Jackets, under 6.5. First 2 bets we're giving out. Next bet that we're going to give out is going to be Avalanche on the money line, guys. Avalanche on the money line. They're hosting the Lightning. We like that one as well. And the last one we're going to give out is going to be Golden Knights plus 1.5. If you wanted to take this on the money line, I'm okay with that. I took it at the plus 1.5, though. Something I also want to bring this up first. Ranger, thank you so much for supporting the show. Really appreciate you. But I want to put out this note. This is a new one for me. I mentioned this last week. I started doing a lot more round robin bets. Now, guys, I don't promote or encourage parlays too frequently. I do them, but I always warn you guys, parlays is what has built Vegas into a city because parlays lose people money in crazy amounts. So I'm doing round robins more and more. Round robins are so great because you can lose one leg of the ticket and you can still cash a bunch of others. So something I've been doing more, if you've been checking me out on the SHARPZ app, you'll notice I've been doing more of those. I am a big proponent of those. I actually kind of am promoting or endorsing those. I think those are much better plays if you're a parlay bettor. If you're not a parlay bettor, good. Stay that way. You'll hold on to more of your money. But if you bet parlays, you might want to consider round robins actually a really good way of betting. Ken Ball 24, Powell over receiving yards. Interesting question. Let's take a quick look at that one. Hadn't looked at that player prop bet for tonight. That's Brandon Powell. We're going to look at his receiving yards. So the over's the better implied probability. This came up. I kind of like that the line movement on this has gone up to 23.5. He's cashed on this 2 weeks in a row. By the way, against pretty good pass defenses in the Saints and in the Broncos. How about at home? How is this done? 3 straight games at home. This is a good find. Ken Ball 24. I like this bet. Now, the Bears' receiving yards against wide receivers hasn't been as good. They are a bad defense against passing yards. Against wide receivers, they're a much better defense. That said, I do like this bet. Ken Ball, not going to put it up on my big board, but this is a good one, guys. Brandon Powell, over 24.5 receiving yards. Good find by Ken Ball, 24. Nice job. Daniel Pipko, how many legs do you include on your round robins? For example, a 7-leg parlay. Okay, so you would build out those 7 legs, you do the round robin, and then you could take all of them. So they could be 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 bets, in groupings. Now, what I do is I modulate the unit amount. Sometimes I'll only put I'll put a dime on each bet. I'm still betting like 20 total dollars, but what I really like about these round robins, here's a perfect example. I bet 10 cents on all of my bets. But I'm betting, let's say, 126 bets. Okay, I'm willing to bet $12.60 on all of those bets. That's a fine play for me. So anyways, just something to think about. I think there's some good bets out there for all of you guys. And again, round robins allow you to cash money even when you're wrong by 1. Perfect example. Yesterday, our favorite bets that we gave out in that newsletter, we went 7 for 8. Only missed on 1. The Buccaneers plus 4.5 busted on us. Still cashed on a bunch of tickets, guys. Still came out way ahead. Should I sell either Chase or Cup if I'm 9-3? Brock Ford, yes, I would. Folk 10, is it worth going after Eckler if I have Keenan Allen? Yes, I would. I'm looking to trade Henry and or Mostert. Why? Henry has a good matchup this week. Mostert's worth owning. I wouldn't move on from Henry and Mostert right now, guys. West Wantland 12, start Devontae or Ridley next week? Good question. Jaguars matchup is against the Bengals. I really like Ridley. I'd go Calvin Ridley over Smith. Adrian, trade Saquon, Ferguson, and D-Hop for Mike Evans and Swift. Adrian, I'd be okay with it. I think D-Hop has a good game this upcoming week, but I think it's a decent trade. Do I love it? Retro Dad, great to see you again. Retro Dad, you have been missed. Great to see you back in the show. Hope you've been well. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I traded Kyron Williams and A.J. Brown for McCaffrey and Keenan Allen. Good trade. Good trade. Nice job. Nice job. Bryson Blake, 802. I'm up 13 and my opponent has Vikings defense tonight. Do I win? Yes, you do. It would take a defensive score. I think you're okay. Adrian Gotway's up 41 and opponent has Hawkinson and Madison. Do I win? Yes, you will, because Madison doesn't have a lot of value. TB, do you think K9 will be good after injury, or should I trade him before it's too late? TB, I'd trade him. TB, I would move on from him. Gilly Beans, St. Brown and Hall for A.J. Brown? Ooh, good question. The problem is I like St. Brown, and Hall has enough value. It's close, Gilly Beans. It's close. Keep in mind, the Lions have some good... Let's see what the Lions matchups are rest of season. Lions rest of season. Saints, tricky, but then they play the Bears. That's a good matchup. Broncos, tough. Vikings is good. Cowboys is tough. I'd be okay with it. Gilly Beans, I'd be okay with it. St. Brown's matchups rest of season are just tough enough. I'll take A.J. Brown, Gilly Beans. Connor, I'm down 15 and have Hawkinson to play. Do I win? Connor, you are going to be sweating it. I think there's a possibility. I'm saying there's a chance, Connor. I'm saying there's a chance. I don't want to get your hopes too high, but I'm saying there's a chance. KAI, will Komet and DJ Moore do good? Yes, I really like DJ Moore tonight. Komet, it's about can he get the end zone, can he get the touchdown? Love DJ Moore tonight, though. Up 22, going up against Hawkinson. Do I pull it out? Wingman, I think you do. So between Connor and Wingman, you can kind of hear where I'm putting the market for TJ Hawkinson's total fantasy points tonight. I think he's around 16, 17. Could that be lower? Yes, but I think it depends if you're in a PPR league. That's one. But I think he's going to get a touchdown. That's what I'm banking on. 60, 65 yards and a touchdown. Then it's about, does he get to 65 yards? Are you in a PPR league? So, your boy Alex, Travis Kelce has been letting me down these last couple weeks. Played well yesterday. Had a good game yesterday. I know he didn't get the touchdown, but still put up good receiving yards. Smitty lost by 1 point yesterday because Keenan Allen dropped pass and slipped on the last drive last night. Well, you could also blame him for the fumble. That's the one thing, Smitty. I know we like to make it about he slipped on that last play on the fourth quarter drive. It's like, well, if he didn't fumble, he would have been operating with two extra points that whole time. So, Smitty, I know you got punched in the balls, but don't worry, they'll reinflate in a couple days. Kevin, who could I get for JJ and Nico Collins or Ridley or Devontae Smith? Man, you're throwing out a lot of names right there, so a little tricky for me. Yeah, Smitty, Cooper Kupp really struggled. Cooper Kupp, disappointing value. 4.8. Yeah, brutal. I did tell a bunch of you guys to avoid him yesterday. Cooper Kupp right now is just tricky. It's just, where is his value right now? Best anytime touchdown TD prop for tonight. DJ Moore would probably be number one for me. DJ Moore would probably be number one. And then it would be Hawkinson number two. I didn't take any anytime touchdown bets. I maybe took DJ Moore, but I don't think so. I do kind of like Jordan Addison. I would say that. Like if I were to put anytime touchdown bet, it would probably be Moore, Hawkinson, and Addison. I know those are the obvious ones, but that is kind of where the head goes. Adrian got ways. Pick one for next week's flex. Tricky. I don't like Rice a lot next week. Rice does not have a good matchup. London doesn't have a great matchup going up against Sauce Gardner, Romeo I'd go Rashee Rice. Adrian got ways. I'd go Rashee Rice out of that group. Yo, boy Alex, Justin Jefferson is out. Justin Jefferson is out tonight. Wetzel, what wide receiver can I get for Saquon? I mentioned it earlier. DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins. These are some names I think that would be available to you. CJ Miller, Brian Robinson, and Thielen for Kamara. Tricky, simply because Brian Robinson has been such a good own so far this year in terms of touchdowns. Rest of season, he plays the Dolphins, Rams, Jets. Okay. The problem is he's got great value at a certain point in the playoffs, and then it completely falls off. With that said, I'd be okay making the trade. Brent, what Bears spread you love the most? Plus 6.5 or plus 5.5? Always plus 6.5. If I can get on the better side of a two field goal game, I do it. So, Brent, I know that the odds are a little bit worse in terms of you have to pay a little bit more, but I'd always rather have the points in my favor. JP Davis over 23.5 points. That's one I didn't take. JP, I studied Anthony Davis's stats earlier. I gave out that bet a little bit earlier in the show. I love Anthony Davis on blocks. Points, really close. I don't feel good enough about it. Let's put it that way. I love it. I like it. I don't love it. I decided to not take the bet, JP. JP also asked DJ Moore over 4.5 receptions. That one I would take. I think he gets 5 catches tonight. I could see him getting 6, so I do like that. Brady Youngblood, Jaden Reed, or Josh Downs. Next week, Josh Downs. The matchup against the Titans is good enough for me, and especially because playing the Packers play the Chiefs, that's not a great matchup for Jaden Reed. It's good because he's just being utilized in the offense a lot, but I like Josh Downs more, Brady. TikToker, who could I get for JJ and Nico and Devontae? I don't understand that. I like Nico Collins. I wouldn't give him up. I like Devontae. I wouldn't give him up. If you package them all, you could get a bunch of great receivers or running backs, though. I love when people are like, hey, what if I gave up these 3 players? What could I get? Again, it's like it's hard to determine that, especially because I mentioned this throughout the last few weeks of helping you guys out with fantasy advice. Really tricky to kind of give you a blank direction when I don't know who's available in your league. You know, which teams need wide receivers? What running backs do they have? You know, things like that. Pookie Big 7, Amon-Ra, Shaheed for Kincaid, Henry, and Ridley. Pookie, I'd do it. I'd rather have Kincaid, Henry, and Ridley. Isaac, down 25. I have Hawkinson and Fields. He has Osborne. Do I win? He gets 18. I think you will. Isaac, I think you're going to win. Yes, I do. Maybe I gave you too much hope just now, but I think you can actually win that game. Falk, 10. What do you think Mostert's value is rest of season with Achane? Guys, we keep talking about when Achane comes back. We talk about Jeff Wilson Jr. All Mostert does is score touchdowns. All Mostert does is produce. So I know that we may be worried when Achane is actually fully back, but frankly, Mostert is remaining a good fantasy own and good fantasy play. I'm down 24 with DJ Moore. Ryan P, don't love it. Don't love it. Sorry. Saul, let's go take a look at that player prop bet that you're asking about. Jumping over to the NBA, as you're asking about Michael Porter Jr., 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Let's pull that up. By the way, guys, when we hit 20,000 likes, I'm going to give away 2 more picks for you guys. 2 more picks coming at 20,000 likes. So, interesting. I'm not seeing Michael Porter Jr. up here at all. So, should I be? I don't think they're playing tonight, buddy. Yeah, they are. They're playing the Clippers. So, because I have that bet. So why isn't Michael Porter Jr. showing up? Is Michael Porter Jr. out? Injuries? No. Oh, wow. Guys, Nikola Jokic is out for that game. Aaron Gordon is out for that game. Wow, some big injury news in that Nuggets game. Nikola Jokic is out, back soreness, and Aaron Gordon is out with a right heel strain. Ooh, brutal, brutal, brutal. I did put in bets last night for the Denver Nuggets to... Wow, that's really fortunate. I just looked in my notes, and I just saw what I wanted to see. I was like, man, did I take the Nuggets in that game? I really hope I didn't. That'd be really unfortunate. No, I didn't actually. I'm going to give you guys a bet. I did put it for that game, and I'm going to make it one of my Sharps plays of the day, everybody. Let's get up to 20,000 likes. I'm going to give it out now, but let's get up to 20,000 likes. Guys, last night, I must have had a premonition. I took Nuggets and Clippers under 28.5, under 29.5, 229.5, and under 230.5. Now, the reason I did that is because the trends indicated when the Nuggets and the Clippers play, the under is a great play. But now that we know Nikola Jokic out, Aaron Gordon out, man, do we like the under or what? Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are also like Clippers on the money line. Duh. Well, I'll let you guys do that. But that said, Nuggets, Clippers under, that's the play I'm taking. Love that bet. That is my second Sharps play of the day. Again, if you guys want every bet that I make every day, they are all available to you guys on the Sharps app. Every bet that I make, NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football, they are all available on the Sharps app. All you have to do is DM me on Instagram. I'll give you a link and a referral code. Hit the link, put in the referral code, and go check out my profile. And you could toggle through every bet I make every day for free. I give away all of my picks for free so you guys can see what I'm going with. Now, all of my bets are trend-based. I do my research during the day, looking at the best trends, data, and analytics to go behind my bets. If you guys want to fade or follow, that's up to you. But you know what are the best trend plays of the day based on the bets that I'll be making every day. So if you guys want those bets, go DM me on Instagram right now. Daniel, just put some round robins on your NHL picks. Daniel, knock on wood. Let's see how it goes. Daniel, it's an experiment. I always tell you guys, I never put down money that's going to prevent me from falling asleep at night. So we have some fun. We get some extra entertainment out of a Lightning Avalanche game. But yeah, Daniel, DM me on Instagram later. We'll go back and forth about whether these NHL picks are going to cash. BTT student, start Kyler or Lawrence next week. Oh, I'd start Trevor Lawrence. BTT student, I'd start Trevor Lawrence. In fact, in doing my research for NFL Week 13, I will say this. I'm not going to put it up on the board, so you guys are going to have to hear and remember. Steelers, Cardinals, under, really good bet. Really good bet. Looking at those trends, really good bet on the under there. KAI, I'm down 18. He has Fields tonight, but I have Kmet, DJ Moore, and the Vikings defense. Do I have a chance? I don't think so. I don't think so. Tom, Dobbs, 33.5 rushing yards. Tom, let's take a look at that on the Outlier app. Again, the Outlier app is a great sports betting research tool that we use every single day. If you guys want a free 7-day trial for that, again, just DM me on Instagram. This is the best research tool that you can find, guys. It is the best in the business. So we're going to look at rushing yards for Josh Dobbs. I'm seeing it set at 38.5. If you're getting that at 33.5, I do like that. This started at 37. Worked its way down to 35, but it found its floor and then came back up with public money. Has been a pretty good trend over the time of his starts. Now, Bears are a good run defense, but they're better against running backs than they are quarterbacks. They're still good against quarterbacks, but there's some reason to like this. Looking at it in home games, man, that's the only thing I don't like that I've seen so far is in home games, this hasn't been a great play. So that actually stands out to me a little bit. Wish I had seen some better stats in home games there. Paul Love, rough week. Would you play rest of season Cowboys or 49ers rest of season including playoffs? I'd probably go Cowboys. I'd have to look at the matchups, but I'd probably go Cowboys. I got to see. Cowboys, damn it. I'd have to look at rest of season schedule, Paul Love, sorry. John, 316 cards. Should I start Russell Wilson or Goff next week? Lions going up against the Saints. Russell Wilson going up against the Texans. John, 316. It's Russell Wilson, believe it or not. I think Russell Wilson's actually the better play. Again, that's at first blush. Let's make sure we get back to that, John, when we get closer to the week. Dylan Flick, thankfully, up 6.4 in my matchup. Full PPR. My opponent still has Hawkinson left. I, however, have Chandler and Santos left. How do you like my odds? Dylan, I don't really like them, buddy. I don't really like them. I'm sorry. Would you be starting him over Mixon? ID Maggio, thoughts on James Cook rest of season? Don't love him. Very week-to-week matchup based. Yo boy Alex, do you like Tyrese Halliburton over 25.5 points? I just thought that line was set really high. Yo boy Alex, it's not that I didn't like him scoring tonight. 25.5 seemed incredibly high. So let's take a look at that. We're going to jump on over, answering some of your sports betting questions as well here at Butt Fumble Sports. Again, guys, every time we look at it, I want to make sure I promote it. Best sports betting research tool in the entire business right here on Outlier. So make sure you guys hit me up for a free 7-day trial. So Tyrese Halliburton, looking at it on points, yeah, you got it even higher, 24.5. I didn't like it, at 25.5, at 24.5. Not a good implied probability. The one thing you may like is the Sharp Money bought this when it opened. So last night, Sharp Money bought this, but then it came down again. I'm just not crazy about this one. Look at the matchup. The Portland Trailblazers are the 6th best defense against point guards when it comes to scoring. I'm not about it. Yusuf, DM me on Instagram. Yusuf, DM me on Instagram. I'll hook you up with a free 7-day trial, Yusuf. You see Tyrese Halliburton, good stats across the last 10 games, but at home, not as good a trend and a tough matchup. I don't like this one. I lean actually towards the under. I would take under 25.5 points more than I would take over 25.5 points. Just not one that got me excited. So that's where I come out on that one. Daniel Pipko, the Wild just fired their head coach. Man, are they owned by Tepper as well? Oh, I owe you guys a rant. So, Frank Reich You might be a really good offensive coordinator, but I understand why Tepper and the Carolina Panthers parted ways with Frank Reich today. They were absolutely justified, and it's not just because CJ Stroud is having a phenomenal year in Houston. It's because Bryce Young looks like he was never a Heisman candidate, let alone someone who actually won the award. Bryce Young has regressed so fast, and it's not just the talent on the field, it is the coaching. They have not put him in position to succeed. He is not getting proper coaching. He looks like a shell of the former self he was only a year ago. How did Bryce Young go from this phenomenal talent to now being, you question whether he has an NFL future? I put that on Frank Reich as much as anybody else. I thought that Tepper, even though he has a bad history of firing coaches, I mean, he's gone through 3 head coaches in 6 years? Way too many firings. That said, Frank Reich wasn't doing the job. Better that they move on from him now and already start that process because it wasn't working in Carolina. And they are so close to not just having one of the worst trades over the last decade, but destroying Bryce Young's career and having one of the worst trades in decades, so they can't even rebuild. It's not like they can go back into the draft and go get Caleb Williams or Drake. By the way, Drake May going from UNC to Carolina would have been a home run. Can you imagine if they had just held on to the pick that they had? Too bad. Jorge, I do like Miles Turner tonight. I'm with you. I do like Miles Turner a lot. You think Kyron and Aaron Jones are top 10 running backs? No, I don't. Kyron might be when he's healthy in terms of as fantasy, but I don't think I'd put either one in my top 10 right now. NFL MVP odds has Mahomes at 2 over Dak and Lamar. Do you think Mahomes deserves that? Yes. I think Dak is getting the narrative of the MVP, but when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they are defense and Patrick Mahomes. And Pacheco. Give Pacheco credit. But Patrick Mahomes, he does not have great wide receivers, and they are still the number 1 team in the AFC. It is Patrick Mahomes that's carrying that team. Have you looked into betting on soccer, typically much more predictable than other sports? Daniel P., yes I have, and yes I do. I do bet on soccer. We don't talk about it a lot here. And by the way, I don't really like betting on the MLS. It is international or EPL soccer that I love to bet on. Daniel P., so I do bet on soccer, but we just talk about it infrequently here. Ryan, start Ridley or Kirk next week? Kirk. Between Ridley and Kirk, I'll almost always defer to Kirk at this point. Ranger, Bryce Young is like Matt Leinart. Talent made the quarterback. See, first of all, I don't agree with you in that I thought Matt Leinart might be more talented, actually. Matt Leinart was a pretty good thrower of the football. I haven't seen Bryce Young be a good thrower of the football. Like, even in college, he was really efficient. He was really accurate. But did I ever say, man, Bryce Young, throws a beautiful football? Matt Leinart threw a beautiful football. And by the way, how much talent did Matt Leinart really have around him? He had Reggie Bush. Who was Matt Leinart's number 1 wide receiver? I think you have a better argument saying Bryce Young was made by the receivers around him. You could certainly say that about Mac Jones, and they shared receivers there for a time. Matt Chubb, who should I get for Chase? Try to get a running back of value. Ranger, Mike Williams, yeah, that was the number 1 wide receiver he had. By the way, that's not Mike Williams from the Los Angeles Chargers. That's Mike Williams who went to the Detroit Lions and was a bust, right? Am I mistaken on that, or am I right? Daniel P. made some solid money on EPL this weekend. I'm not betting the MLS. I'm not about, but betting EPL, that's a good spot to do it, especially because that's a lot like college basketball in that the history of one team going on the road to a certain place, they either perform really well there or really poorly. I went to Indiana University, so something I always know is that IU, for whatever reason, really struggles against the Wisconsin Badgers in college basketball. Since Bo Ryan became head coach, I know they've changed head coaches over the last couple of years, but that's one in which you just know. EPL's like that as well, Daniel, that those two teams, the outcome is just very consistent when they meet, especially in certain conditions. Tom, Vikings -3, a good play tonight. Tom, I'm kind of caught on this one. The public is really heavy on it. Now, the public had a great week. The public is having one of its best weeks of the season. So usually trends throughout the week kind of hold true through Monday night. If you want to take the Vikings on the money line, I do it. If you want to take the Bears +5.5 or +6.5, I do it. Would I take the Vikings at -3? Man, shaky, shaky, shaky. I don't know if I would actually, Tom. Roman, I traded away Mike Evans, JT, and Debo for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Warren. Not a bad trade. I don't love it because I like JT and Debo a lot. I don't love it, but I like it a lot because Warren's value has gone up and Tyreek Hill's amazing. Do you find it shocking the Eagles are the underdogs against the Niners? No. And the reason why is I think a number of people are saying the Eagles should have lost against the Chiefs. The Eagles should have lost against the Bills. They came back and they got lucky. You know what? I think they could easily get lucky again next week and pull off the win. So I think the books are correct in making the Vikings, making the Niners the favorite. But I also think that really is a reflection on the last 2 weeks. The Eagles, they were this close to being 0-2 the last 2 weeks. The Niners right now are rolling. So I think that's recency bias creeping into the line. Oh, Daniel P, giving out a great tip. I find prop bets like corner, shots on target are great bets in the EPL. Nice call, nice call. Logan, need Hawkinson and Greg Joseph to outscore Fields by 4. I don't know. Derg, rate team, Howell, Achan, Ramondre, Tyreek, AJ, Ferguson, Rice, Lockett, Cowboys, Keaton, Mitchell. You're really, okay, so Derg, you've been riding high with Howell. He's had good fantasy production so far this year. That said, I don't think you have enough depth of talent on that team. I think you're a little top-heavy at certain points. Jeff D. DJ Moore's going to have a monster game, guys. I think DJ Moore goes over his receiving yards total. I could see him getting a touchdown. DJ Moore was one of my favorite wide receivers of the week prior to the kickoff of NFL Week 12. I still like him as we get to Monday Night Football. Guys, I have to jump off in just a minute, so we have about 2 minutes left of the show, everybody. About 2 minutes left of the show. How about this? Hit that like button as much as you can. We are going to give out as many picks as we can. So tap that screen. Let's show a lot of love. And I'm going to empty the bucket. I'm going to put as many picks up on the board as I have up on my cheat sheet. So let's give out a ton of picks right now. While I do that, tap that screen, show some love. Let us know that you love Butt Fumble Sports' content. So here we go, everybody, giving out all the picks that we have remaining. I am taking the Jazz plus 6.5. The Jazz plus 6.5. That's another bet that I'm putting up on the board. I did also take, by the way, I did take the 76ers minus 2.5. I also took them at minus 1.5. Now, my best bet is money line play on the 76ers, but if you wanted to take them on a spread, don't think it's a terrible play as well. Let's go over to the NHL. Do I have any more NHL bets to give out? Only one of them. Oh, two of them, actually. Two of them. I have Panthers on the money line. And the last bet that we're going to give out tonight is going to be the Capitals on the money line, guys. They play the Sharks. Hopefully we can cash on that one as well. Those are all the bets we're giving out for tonight. Hope you guys love the show, love the content, and love the conversation. Make sure that you hit that follow button. Make sure you're subscribing no matter the platform you're watching on. TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Make sure you're a member of this amazing community of sports fans that comes together every single day. Again, guys, if you want every bet that I make every day, make sure you DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram, just like Shane did. SHAYNE. Shane, thanks for hitting me up on Instagram. I just sent you a link and a referral code for the SHARPZ app. Every bet that I make every day is there. There is not one day where I hide my bets or delete my bets. They're there every single day. I do my research, I put in my bets in the sports book that I prefer, and then they automatically aggregate to SHARPZ. So every day you see every bet, regardless of the type of bet and regardless of the sport, and that way you can make the decision for yourself. I'm sure you're not going to make the 70, 80, 100 bets that I make every day, but you'll see the ones that I like. Maybe you were like, oh, I like that one already. So does Butt Fumble Sports. It encourages you. Or you're like, you know what? It's going to force you to fade something. As long as you're well informed, that's what we're going for. So grateful for all the support you guys show us. If you guys do want a 7-day free trial for the Outlier app, we brought this app up throughout the show. It is the best research tool in all of sports betting. Make sure you guys hit me up about this. DM me on Instagram. Just ask for the Outlier app or the sports betting research app that we use every day. I assure you guys, you will make money using this. If you use it for the 7-day free trial, you will come out ahead and you'll just want to sign up for it. It is the best research tool. I mentioned it before. What the Bloomberg terminal is to stock trading. The Outlier app is to sports betting. It is essential. It is so good. It is so in-depth. It gives you everything that you guys need to get the best, most valuable data possible. I appreciate you guys watching the show. Hope you guys are back with us tomorrow. We will be live at 5 p.m. Eastern because we're live every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern every single day, answering your fantasy questions, your sports betting questions, and ranting about what's going on in the sports world. Tomorrow, I will have my research done for NFL Week 13. So fantasy football, I am going to give out my favorite quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends tomorrow. My love and hate list will be in tomorrow's show. So if you're watching right now, that is a teaser. Our favorite quarterbacks, running backs, we're going to do our love and hate list for NFL Week 13. We're going to give that out tomorrow for the first time ever. I'm going to do it on a Tuesday. Hopefully that gives you guys a good start to the week in waiver wire and trades and everything else. So guys, make sure you guys join us tomorrow as we dive into NFL Week 13 and of course, give out picks for Tuesday night's NBA and NHL action. Hope you guys love the content in the show. Make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you join us every single day because if it's a day of 2023, Butt Fumble Sports is live talking sports because that's what we do. Hope you guys are with us tomorrow. Until then, I hope you stay healthy. I hope you stay safe. Cash a ton of tickets tonight, everybody. Win those fantasy matchups, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Until then, have a great night.